Pokemon X and Y and Mario Kart 7 have sold over 1 million units, but these franchises have made over a lifetime of $100 million. So my cultural artifact is the 3DS, and most how could I say oh man. So the 3DS here that I have is many people enjoy this, both children and adults alike. They enjoy the games that it has to offer, but most people consider it as a child console, and maybe preteens. But Nintendo has a history that's very fascinating and unique to it, the games itself, and how I relate to this. So now I'll talk about the history of the Nintendo 3DS. On November 21, 2004, I think, the original 3DS was released, and being that it was released, it became a popular game. But later on, many iterations of this were about, many of them were software updates, minor changes to its physique, but all of them still being popular. The DS was actually inspired by an older game that came out in 1980s, back when Nintendo was a toy company. It was called the Game & Watch series. These were the first games, handheld games, that were pretty primitive compared to this now. And being that those were created by the creator of those games, he was called Gunpei Yokoi. And now that you have a bit of history of the Nintendo DS, I'll tell you how this relates to me. When I was younger, I owned a Super Nintendo Entertainment System, and that game, the first game I played, was Super Mario World. And that game I always fascinated because it was always difficult, especially finding the special worlds. There's 2 of those that are hidden. You have to get to. The first one is kind of fairly easy, but the second one is even more hidden beyond that. But the one that's even more hidden, called the special world, have the difficult levels, which I always fascinated. And once I beat it, it was like rewarding to me. And when I was younger, every time I told kids in elementary school, "Hey, have you heard of the Nintendo and the SNES?" Most of them tell me, "What is that?" And then I guess inside myself, I felt unique because no one really played that game. No one ever owned that system around my age. And this one, many of the games that I enjoyed were some of them including Majora's Mask. Not only that, some of the games have stories within them that could be related to the real world. The one I mentioned, Majora's Mask, it's said that the theory goes that has the Rubler's Ross, the grieving, the 5 stages of grief, where it talks about how each of those levels have some sort of significance, like anger, depression, acceptance. And now that you know why it relates to me, I'm gonna conclude that it is a fascinating game system. I enjoy it a lot. Being that it's a 3DS, even though it might not have the best quality of the games, but I do enjoy the appeal of the games that it has to offer.